Technology, wrote Jean Baudrillard, is an extension of the body. It is the functional sophistication of a human organism that permits it to be equal to nature and to invest triumphantly in nature. Baudrillard goes on to opine, from Marx to McLuhan, the same functionalist vision of machines and language, they are relays, extensions, media mediators of nature, ideally destined to become the organic body of man. In this rational perspective, the body itself is nothing but a medium. The disconnect that humans have with their bodies and their bodies' needs and functions makes it increasingly difficult to maintain fitness and healthy living. Our bodies, as described by Baudrillard, have become an element of our pervasive technological system. As a part of a system, we do not know what our bodies need, and we look to technology to inform us. Our most basic functions are now dictated by the screen. Baudrillard explained the development of the simulacrum in 4 successive phases. In its first phase, the image is a reflection of a basic reality. In its second phase, the image masks and perverts a basic reality. In its third phase, the image masks the absence of a basic reality. And in its fourth and final stage, the image no longer bears any relation to any reality whatsoever. It is now its own pure simulacrum. Imagine explaining to the next generation what it was like before the days of constant connectivity to eat. We used to reach for an apple. We knew where it came from. We did not have to consider if it had been genetically modified. We did not photograph it with our phones and post its image to the internet. We did not track its consumption through an app. We did not check off its fiber level and monitor its caloric intake, and later its use to fuel a workout through a bracelet connected to our variety of computers. We did not track our location through GPS to know how far we walked to get that apple. We did not check in with our friends online to see if we had walked more than they had. We did not publicly comment on or advise in what each other ate, our opinions of it, and one another's diet, health, and fitness. We used to know what to eat, and when, and how it would make us feel. We did not need to consult with a screen. But why would we not consult with a screen when contemporary culture has provided screens at every turn, which are only partially controlled by the consumer to inform, engage, and advise us? We live in a screen-perpetuated simulacrum of intimacy. We share a feeling of understanding of the lives of strangers, and this frequently includes the appearance of health, particularly of weight. Whether that of celebrities or average people, the interactive world monitors the weight of others and barters in advice for weight maintenance. Our entire lives can be connected, informed, and monitored through the screen. An increasing number of us are doing just that. Weight is a facet of this information monopoly and a factor in perceived success. The paradox of living in a culture of consumption is that we are constantly driven to consume and then chastised when we do. From television to tablet to smartphone to billboard to in-store advertising, screens are insisting that we accumulate and then purge. The continual media monitoring of bodies through celebrity surveillance and reality diet shows, combined with health and weight media in the form of online magazines, social media, and personal blogs, has made health, and weight in particular, a publicly monitored commodity. The public need for increasingly sophisticated diet and fitness tools is a product of a consumption-based and sedentary society constructed of activities and sustenance that are omnipresent, heavily marketed, normalized, mythologized, chemically altered in the case of food, and increasingly difficult to navigate. We have taken our needs, combined them with socially constructed desires, and externalized our physical requirements onto the screen to commingle with our entertainment, communication, and banking. How do we take back control of our lives from devices? How do we connect meaningfully to our bodies and our experiences? There are numerous physical, psychological, and spiritual methods for gaining mindfulness and awareness. Our physical spaces and environments can be modified for better engagement. We can rid ourselves of external distractions, like devices, clutter, media, and internal modifiers like chemicals, stimulants, and depressants. And we can mentally focus through techniques like meditation, prayer, and psychological practices. I started my ideation for the artifact portion of the project by breaking down into the basic elements the needs that I perceived that the electronic monitoring of homeostasis was intending to meet. I summarized that the screen was being used to keep tabs on energy input and output, rest, balancing with stress monitoring, and hydration. Considering scholarly and anecdotal research and reviews of digital trackers and applications, I deconstructed the use of the various devices and software to pinpoint needs and desires. I then decided that my artifact could go one of two ways. I could either create an improved digital user interface or think antithetically and create a Luddite artifact that focused the monitoring back on the self rather than the screen. After concluding that I would rather counteract the screen, I decided that I would rather create a new system rather than an informational artifact that identified the phenomenon. I then developed my audience profile and started list making. I came up with multiple ideas that included wearable reminder and tracking systems and temporary tattoos. I had a temporary week period where I developed a system that was worn on an existing undergarment, thinking that a solution could piggyback effectively on an existing habit. I tried out ideas that were like abacuses before going back to listing and reevaluating what was needed. I refined some of my earlier ideas and developed an idea for functional pendants and rings. I really like the movable crown-like rings that I had ideas for, but I foresaw difficulties with numbering systems and marking progression, and then there was the factor of variable sizes for different users. After discussing multiple concepts with my peers and professor, I started to branch out into ideas that were based on intentions to change behavior, particularly mindfulness. However, after a lot of ideation and consideration, I felt that these ideas that were less tangible and varied from instruction cards to the use of scent to trigger positive moods and behaviors associating with mindfulness training were already available. I kept coming back to my pendant ideas. I felt like they were something that I would like to own. I decided to further develop these functional pendants. The pendants are to be made of pierced precious metal and worn on a chain. The circles line up one over the other to create a complex, layered, three-dimensional space, and these overlapping patterns evoke the complexity of the homeostasis process and our relationship to it. Like the technological devices, this jewelry is meant to be worn as a reminder, and like the technological devices, they display value, the devices through their cutting-edge technology and the jewelry through their materials, in this case, gold. The set of pendants also functions as a Luddite measuring device. The jewelry, like technology, intersects with the viewer's sight. They're held up before the eye, and things are perceived through them. Instead of becoming a simulacrum, however, the jewelry enhances the wearer's perception and grounds the wearer in her own physical body and biological process. It reminds the wearer to commit to the natural experience of existing, rather than experiencing the process through the simulacrum. This first of the pendants is a visual reminder for proper nutrition. Used like a stencil held at eye level over a plate, this pendant shows the user the healthy percentages of a meal's plate. The largest portion is to be filled with produce, the next largest gauges whole grains, the third largest portion gauges lean proteins, and the smallest portion gauges fats and less nutritive elements. This pendant is a static rangefinder, and it's inspired by a sextant. As I researched devices that aid gauging distance, I referenced golfing rangefinders and ancient Roman dodecahedrons. These are held up toward the horizon, and likewise, this pendant can be used to approximate distances. It also serves as a reminder to encourage walking and running. Its infinite path forward is a symbol of continual momentum. This moon-shaped stencil is a reminder of the percentages of the day that should be designated for wake and sleep. The open part is wakefulness, and the opaque part would be symbolic of the periods of time during the day that we should be asleep. Until we mark the proportions out of our 24-hour period, it is challenging to remember just how large a portion of our day should be spent recharging. 8 of our 24 hours should be dedicated to sleep, a full third of our day. The 6 stars that mark the solid sleep portion of the pendant reminds the user that at least 6 hours of sleep are required, if not the full 8. For those 16 hours that we are awake, we need to drink at least 8 8-ounce glasses of water per day. That is roughly 1 glass every 2 hours, if not more. The hydration reminder pendant pattern is composed of 8 abstracted water droplets, radiating from the center of the pendant. Within each of these droplets is a circle, and that references the top of a glass. If the wearer needs extra help to keep track of water consumption, the pendant may be used as a stencil on a slip of paper, and the circles could be traced at the beginning of the day, and then each circle filled in when a glass of water has been consumed. My artifact that I'm presenting here is not a solution. Rather, it's an emblem to remind the user, not unlike prayer beads or a religious medal, it holds no magic, it is a symbol. Inspired by de Saussure's theory of the sign, I opine that these symbols act as signifiers to the reference of our bodies and their processes. The technological devices that were the impetus for my project imploded, resulting, as Baudrillard observed and opined, in signifiers no longer corresponding with reality. My artifact is intended to incite genuine interaction and understanding, rather than adding further digital media to our already disconnected system.